Welcome to Competitive CX, the podcast for financial services professionals tackling client experience challenges. If you're passionate about enhancing client experience and driving client satisfaction, you found your new favorite show.
I'm Adam Grainger, and alongside Melanie Aimer and Hamish Taylor, we delve into essential CX strategies and innovations that are shaping the future of client experience in finance.
With our diverse backgrounds in customer experience and financial services, we're going to bring you some real-world insights and thought-provoking discussions to help you navigate the complexities of delivering exceptional client experiences.
Whether you're a decision maker, a marketer, or anyone in a client-facing role in financial services, you'll find valuable takeaways to elevate your organizational CX strategies.
So come on then, subscribe now and join us in transforming client experience and gaining that competitive edge.
Let's dive in. Good morning, afternoon, or evening to wherever you are. Welcome to our podcast series called Competitive CX. Now, you would have heard in our last episode, we discussed the regulator. Were they a friend or a foe to CX? And today, similarly, we're going to be talking about technology. Is technology an enabler or disabler for CX? In our next episode, we're going to talk about solving the most common client experience complaints. Now, my name is Melanie Aimer, and for the last 20 years, I've been championing the role of client experience within the different areas of financial services, all the way from capital markets, asset management, private banking, and wealth management. And personally, as you've heard me say before, I'm not satisfied that in general, financial services organizations are really cracking the challenges of creating great client experiences. Now, to help me in this quest for new approaches, I'm joined by two very experienced innovators who already make a huge impact in the financial services industry. Firstly, Hamish Taylor.
Hi, Melanie. Having listened to your introductions now on all the podcasts we've made so far, I guess you're not satisfied then, huh?
I'm absolutely not. I don't think you're going to get me there, guys. You're not going to get me there. Welcome, Hamish. Hamish is an award-winning former CEO whose world-leading customer-led transformation approach has inspired hundreds of companies across 48 countries to rethink customer approach. He's also been dubbed the master thief for his track record of transferring ideas from one sector to another. I'm also joined by Adam Grainger. Welcome, Adam.
Thanks, Melanie. Great to be here again.
Adam, you head up a company called Accomplish that has pioneered the measurement and understanding of the key drivers of great client experience and enabled asset management organizations to pinpoint where their CX either out or underperforms. And I've been asking you along this way to think about how we bring this into the wider financial services community. And together, we're tackling the challenges of client experience in financial services. Now, for those who are listening, we, of course, would welcome your views and thoughts. And to do this, please either reach out to us directly or leave us a comment. If you're listening, we'd like to ask you a little favor. Could you please rate or review this episode? It'll get the word out there for others like you who also are finding these episodes interesting. Now, today we're going to be covering the topic, is technology enabler or disabler for CX? So who's starting?
Shall I lead
Go
off?
for
Would
it,
you guys
Adam.
be happy with that? Well, let me frame a view and then you guys can add to it. Technology enabler or disabler for client experience. So for me, when I started thinking about this, I thought, well, let's take a bit of a step back. The promise of technology has been kind of clear for years, right? Speed, scale, consistency, convenience. But at times, I suspect you guys and many of our listeners may have felt a bit of a gap. You know, sometimes you start a task online and then maybe you get asked to call someone in person, or maybe you enter your details and you get an error and you have to go back and start again. And, the world's ending because you've got to re-enter those details. It's actually not the technology that isn't there. It's the provider, hasn't yet caught up with the experience to give you. And too often, the best experiences have been reserved for the most important clients, the ones with the most complex needs, the strongest voices, or frankly, the biggest wallets. But I believe that's changing because with widely deployable artificial intelligence, AI, with smart automation, we now have tools to deliver a high touch client experience at scale. Client experience no longer needs to be the white glove service. Yes, sir. No, sir. Whatever color you like, sir. We can personalize journeys. We can make service proactive. We can make interactions feel less like a process and more like a relationship, which is where it needs to be. And this to me is the opportunity in front of us from this new technology. And it's why I believe that AI driven CX, AI driven client experience will be the next table stake for financial services providers. And the firms that get it right will stand out. And those that ignore it, I think they will struggle to keep up. But for me, there's a caveat. Technology only enables better CX if we choose to use it that way. And too often we haven't. We've implemented technology to reduce cost. For example, a new client portal as a document repository for clients, you know, kind of so what? So now they click a link when they used to click an attachment. If that's all you choose for your client portal to do without giving it a richer, deeper set of features and experience for your clients, then sure, you've become more efficient. Well done, genuinely. But almost nothing has changed for the client. A click is still a click. A lot has changed behind the scenes, behind that click. But, for the client, that's just, a different way to access the same report. So sometimes we can focus so much on internal efficiency that we actually forget that clients don't feel efficiency so much. They feel clarity, they feel responsiveness, they appreciate forethought. So perhaps we need a mindset shift from technology being a shortcut to technology being an amplifier. And I want to come back to AI because, in particular, I see artificial intelligence as an amplifier. I actually see it, my analogy for artificial intelligence. It's a new business school graduate. It's smart, it's energetic, it's enthusiastic. So, priority number one should be get it to solve all the legacy tech issues. We're working with clients right now who know that they've got CX data, but it's locked away in some legacy system. Well, hello AI. You don't need to go through some huge manual process to do that now. And, we've got ways to unlock it without involving, hundreds of thousands of hours of manual effort. But AI is not ready, like our business school graduate is not ready to run the show unsupervised. It needs direction, it needs oversight, it needs standards. So if we want to improve CX, we need to supervise this process. And I propose that we do that by asking better questions. Who is this tech helping? Is it helping us? Is it helping the client? Or both us and the client? And are we making the journey better or are we just making it more efficient? And, both answers are valid, but a combination of the two is always going to be better than just making it more efficient. Because in the end, technology doesn't decide the outcome, we do. And right now, recently available AI driven capabilities give us the chance to get CX right. As a result, I believe firms will compete to show their mastery of AI in the interests of their clients. Hashtag client retention. But now superior CX won't be just for the top tier clients. It'll not just for, Hamish, thinking of your time at British Airways, not just for the flagship clients at the pointy end of the plane, but for everyone. And as a result, I believe AI is going to be a huge enabler as well as a huge leveler for technology that can be either an opportunity or a threat.
I love your analogy, actually. And I love your analogy with, like you say, a business school graduate, your recent MBA coming through, because you're right. The interesting thing is that if you look at a lot that come through in that generation, they think they can run the company tomorrow because they have got a skill set that the bosses haven't got or other people haven't got, and they want to do it. And you and I both know, actually, no, there's a lot of guidance in other non-technical areas they need. And I think that you're absolutely right. AI is the same. It needs that guidance.
Yes, it has that level of confidence, that they could take on the world, just like those business school graduates. And that's kind of a good thing. It just needs supervision. It needs to be directed. It needs to be shaped.
I can, Adam, see the place for technology and creating greater and amplifying greater experiences. I guess putting myself in the situation of someone like my mother-in-law, and by the way, I think I have one of the best mother-in-laws in this planet, and I hope she is listening. But I'm putting myself in her shoes, and somebody, she would walk into the branch and speak to somebody she knew, right? And if she doesn't use technology, or she never used to use technology in the past, and really struggled with, for instance, cashing in the checks, or getting something approved, or doing a payment that was maybe as a larger size. And so it's become more impersonal, because banks and all of financial services has had to become industrialized and build scale for cost reasons. Like you said, Adam, they go about doing that, not thinking about the customer and client in all instances. And so I do wonder whether it's also become a technology has become a disabler from a client experience perspective. And we forgot the important human touch as well, right? I'm thinking in private banking as an example, ultra high net worth clients. They still want to meet and know that the person that's managing their money is someone they can trust, and they are eyeballing that person face to saying, what are you doing with my money? Equally so, that person that is like my mother in law, who doesn't have the multi-millions, is walking into that bank and getting that personal experience, and somebody she can trust and eyeball as well. So I think sometimes the technology can be a disabler.
For some people, they just want to get in and get out. I've never met my bank manager. I've no needed to meet my bank manager for my business. I'm very happy with the technology that just lets me do things without having to talk to somebody, to be honest. Yet there are other people who will want to. So again, you're right. It's about recognizing that not all customers are the same, and you can't have a one size fits all technology solution. You've got to recognize that someone, as you say, the personal conversations, others want the tech.
Yes, and I certainly wouldn't want to be seen as being anywhere close to taking a position that we shouldn't be supporting people with particular needs. I think I would probably point out that there might be more than two factors in this, between different customer needs and technology, particularly if we're all sitting in the UK at the moment. So what I'm about to say doesn't apply to other countries, and in fact, there might be people in other countries nodding away. We expect free banking in the UK. Well, you can't have everything for free. If you want free banking, then you may not be able to get all the branches that you want on every corner next to you. So I think I'll just point out, and there'll be other factors as well, that it's not just a one way. Is it technology, or is it there are other factors involved here as well.
Adam, I'm thinking about COVID time, right? If you think about in COVID, and this is where technology is an enabler, that all the service centers were able to move all of and be able to operate and serve clients from their own homes. Right, that's technology enablement, right? And they could continue to serve, and not only in the financial services industry, but all industries continue to be able to serve their customers and their clients. So I do see there was an important role for technology to play. I guess what I'm thinking of, and thinking about it from an asset management perspective, you're serving. There's a set of clients. It says institutional clients, pensions, insurance, etc. And it's so important that they still feel, and they get that meeting that's in person. They still feel they have a relationship with the asset manager that they are trusting to manage their money on their behalf, right?
And
There's
we
that
should we
trust.
should never replace that. We should amplify it. We should support those relationship managers with
Yeah.
with deeper insights, with new
It's about how to do
information.
both, right? And it's about
Yes.
human in the world of technology, doing, with AI and all of this. How do we also not lose that personal experience, or the meetings that are all about trust and people? But it's looking at it from
I'm
both
I'm
perspectives,
not
isn't
for
it?
replacing that at all. I'm holding a flag that says amplify. Be it use technology to do more of that, to do it better. The
I think
interests
what's
of
interesting
clients.
about your analogy with what happened during COVID as well is that if you look what was driving that, a customer need. That's what drove the rapid thing because people needed to be able to work from home or whatever. And that to me is the difference as opposed to technology for technology's sake. But yeah, I guess I'm going to pick up on things from both of you, really. I think in my thoughts on this one as technology enabler or disabler. And I've done a lot of work in the recent years with big technology companies about how they address their customers, but also CIOs. And as we all know, the tech world's changing very rapidly. And these guys know that they've got the tools to revolutionize many aspects of business and how we do business. The issue, though, is they're not you. They're technical people with deep expertise. And how do they translate that expertise into, for example, our audience's world of creating great customer experiences? And I guess putting my cards on the table, I often say this to these guys when I'm doing a big Gartner conference or something. I say, look, for me, there's no such thing as digital transformation. There's business transformation. And in our case, there's customer experience transformation. And technology can be a fantastic enabler and an essential enabler in many cases. But you need to get there. And to get there, there's two jobs that I see for CX leaders if we're really going to make it an enabler and not run into some of the problems that Melanie's been talking about and address some of the things that the opportunities I think that Adam's been raising. And the two jobs are this. First one, CX leader, customer experience leader as translator. We need to translate from technology advances into customer experience. So when I'm working with CIOs, for example, I take them through a customer-led transformation process. So let's assume for a minute, okay, let's assume you guys listening in customer experience are the customer for me as a CIO. So, and I'm taking them through this process. What do we get the CIO to look at? He looks, first of all, he or she, at customer insight. What do we know about you, the CX community? What are your opportunities? What are your goals? What are your challenges? What customer feelings are you trying to create, as you've just been discussed a minute or two ago? And you build a success map of this is what success looks like in the customer experience world. You then create a customer promise underneath that from the IT people to the CX community based on what success looks like for the CX community, not the IT community. And you work backwards from there into how IT can help. In other words, the CX agenda becomes the new technology agenda. Now, the learning for us, I think, in customer experience is you're not always going to be working with enlightened CIOs who do that, go through that process. But you can do it for them. Do it in reverse. Don't wait for them to come to you. You go to them. Run a workshop with your IT people. Help them to really understand what you're trying to achieve. Work with them to create your success map for customer experience. And the key to successful workshop like that is don't talk about technology at all for the whole workshop. Just get the workshop where they understand what success looks like in customer experience. The technology bit comes later. And then you can create a customer promise with them. So don't wait for them to do it to you. Do it to them. That's the first bit.
It's the means to the end. And the end is the client experience. It's really interesting that you talk about translation. It reminds me of a conversation I had just last week with the head of technology, and I was saying, well, but what effect is your service, it was technology service, obviously, having on clients, and what are you doing about it? And the honest answer, and he's a good guy, and he wasn't anti client experience, but it was just a classic response, and you can probably predict it already. It was, oh, I don't know, I just do the technology.
It's a bit like we were saying last episode about, with the risk and compliance and regulation part of the equation as well. It's all about involvement and multifunctional and whatever. But I think there is that.
So what should have been the means have become the ends for that person, as opposed to realizing that their job was to create an effect somewhere else.
And but I think to be a bit harder on the CX community now, and the second job I think is, I think we've got to be better as champions and almost like revolutionaries in this space. Don't let your organization fall into the trap of using the wrong measures for technology impact. Don't let efficiency measures driven by the finance department get in the way of the customer experience. Fight your corner and stand up to the accountants. Your job is to create great customer experiences. If you believe that a technology initiative will not create this, then you've got to be prepared to go into battle. If you don't fight for the customer in the organization, no one else will. And I know that's tough because finance tend to have more power and are more senior and whatever. But what you have and what they don't have is the moral high ground. Show me a financial services organization that isn't telling its shareholders that customers are important to them. So you've got to hold your organization to be accountable about this. If you see a tech initiative that's great for efficiency, but it's going to harm CX, then it's your duty to shout from the rooftops. Otherwise, why have CX in your job title? I mean, seriously, the guys, look, the revolution starts here, okay? Let's stop being steamrolled by finance when it comes to IT investment.
I agree. Yeah, and if you need any more convincing, who pays the bills? It's not the finance department. It's the clients who pay the finance department so they can pay the bills.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It should be a measure for all projects or all transformation pieces of work saying, yes, what is the outcome? What's the KPI? But part of that KPI should be something to do with client satisfaction or client experience.
And don't get me wrong, you can have technology initiatives for the internal customers to help people become more efficient, but you can't do that in isolation from the external customer experience. And you can't have one harms the other.
And actually, sometimes you can build something that benefits the employee and the colleague as well as the client at the same time. Nothing better when the colleague can see the same thing that the client can see, and they're both working off from the same technology or the same solution or website or whatever it might be.
Yeah, so often in life you don't have to choose one or the other. If you just get creative, and as we spoke about in a few of our episodes, you actually involve your colleagues, and start looking at different options.
I saw a great example of that in life sciences actually recently, where it applied to both sets of customers. And it's a piece of AI technology that's being used to help review information before it goes out into the marketplace in life sciences. They have to check everything and what you've got is a bunch of highly intelligent, medically qualified people, dotting I's and crossing T's and looking for typos at the moment. As you can imagine, they don't really enjoy that job. So this piece of AI technology took away a lot of that from them. So what you've got is, on the one hand, yes, you've got an advantage to the internal customers in that they can spend time on more important tasks than checking for typos, but actually has a huge impact externally as well, because they're now getting initiatives into the marketplace much quicker than they ever could before. So both
Yes.
communities are actually benefiting
Yes.
from it.
Yes. Yeah, and they'll be better as well because they're not breaking their train of thought to go and worry about administrative tasks. They can think more deeply about topics and, create richer
Technology is enabler. It is enabler is what we're concluding. It's enabler, but it can be a disabler if we don't put the client at the
It's
heart.
it's us. It's how we choose to use it.
Absolutely. And I just add one sentence to that, which is your job as a CX professional in your organization to make sure that happens. You have got to absolutely beat the drum on this one.
Pick up the flag
Absolutely.
and march it
We
forward.
close with the theme tune from Les Mis or something.
Yeah. No, that doesn't end so well. Let's pick a different movie.
Look, for all of those that are listening, I just want to say thank you for joining us. I do hope you have found this little debate quite useful and that you do join us for future episodes. We do want to hear from you, our listeners. So if you have subjects you would like us to debate, to discuss, we would welcome them. Please share with us either directly or in the comment section. And if you like this episode, please can I ask you a favor? Share it now with a colleague or a friend, especially for those that will find it useful for what it is they do, and live by what Hamish has just said, stand up for CX and stand up for the client. In our next episode of Competitive CX, we will be talking about solving the most common client experience complaints. So don't miss out. And we're wishing you all a good day and hope you too go and create a competitive CX. Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening to this episode of Competitive CX, the podcast dedicated to insights for financial services professionals tackling client experience challenges. We hope you found valuable strategies for enhancing client engagement in your organization.
If you enjoyed the discussion, please subscribe to Competitive CX and leave a rating and a review. Your feedback helps us reach more finance professionals seeking to overcome their CX challenges.
And you can stay up to date with the latest in client experience by following us on LinkedIn for resources designed to help you innovate and improve financial services.
Join us next time as we continue exploring how to transform client experiences in finance. Until then, keep pushing boundaries and striving for excellence in the client experience.